So OpenAI just paid hundreds of millions of dollars for a daily talk show. HubSpot, the software company, just bought a YouTube network. A company called Vanta is paying $274,000 a year to hire a head of storytelling. Notion has reformatted its marketing team into a storytelling organization. Now, one of these moves has anything to do with running a marketing campaign, but it has everything to do with running marketing. So let's talk about marketing campaigns and content marketing and how everything we've been doing in marketing the last 30 years, well, it's been a bit of a workaround, and what may be finally replacing it. Maybe it's another workaround, or maybe it's marketing in its final form. Stick around, won't you? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rose-Colored Glasses. I'm Robert Rose, marketing consultant and chief strategy advisor at the Content Marketing Institute, and I'm kicking off a 4-part series here on the end of campaign first marketing, or really maybe better said, a merger of all the things that we've been taught from content marketing, campaign-based marketing, everything we've been doing over the last 25 years. So marketing has been doing really the same kind of workaround for 3 decades, right? We've run campaigns because we didn't have an audience. Then about 15 years ago, content marketing showed up and offered a slightly better workaround to what it is we're doing. And now 3 years into the AI moment, and smart companies are finally starting to do, well, the actual job, including, weirdly, some of the most forward-looking AI companies out there that are meant to replace those of us in marketing and content. Anyway, let's quickly go back in time. So have you ever noticed how marketing's vocabulary is mostly built on war footing, right? Campaigns, we have tactics, we target buyers, we have fronts. I mean, even the word slogan comes from the Scottish Gaelic for battle cry. We borrowed all of it from the military in the way of advertising, right? And we never put it down. But there was a logic to it, right? When the primary, maybe only way to reach a buyer was to rent attention from somebody else's distribution, a magazine, a TV ad on the network, a billboard, well, a campaign was the right organizing unit. Concentrate the spend that you would like on your best military assets, of course, target and hit that audience, measure the lift, move on to the next battlefront and the next campaign. Marketing's job was to get in front of strangers and make them less strange. And that worked. Until, of course, it stopped working as well as it could. Campaigns were largely a workaround for the fact that we didn't have direct access to an audience. Then, about 15 years ago, the internet handed us a fix, right? Search, blogs, newsletters, podcasts. Suddenly, we could build subscribed audiences directly, inform them, entertain them, engage them, stop the push campaigns, and create pull audience, an inbound approach, if you will. We adopted the vocabulary of media companies, subscribers, programming, newsrooms, content studios, editorial strategies. They would come to us. A bunch of us figured this out and started running with it, and we built content marketing. Red Bull built a studio, Salesforce built a trailhead, Arrow Electronics acquired an entire publishing house, HubSpot built all kinds of things. All kinds of businesses turned to content marketing and media-oriented language to really pull in and offer an alternative to campaign-based marketing. And it worked until it started to not. And this is the part that, well, we're just starting to realize. Content marketing was also kind of a workaround, right? The owned media engine ran on the side of campaigns, separate. The two coexisted. Content marketing was always kind of the weird cousin at Thanksgiving, right? Always invited, but never really trusted to stay sober. It was the in addition to. It was never the actual operating model of marketing. We were still running campaigns. We just had a blog now. And most importantly, it all depended on our visibility, traffic, and the ability to make our owned media platforms as important as one of our products. And then, before we even finished, well, AI showed up. Now organic traffic is declining. Over the last few years, B2B customer acquisition costs, they've roughly doubled. Display ad CTRs, click-through rates, well, they're a fraction of what they used to be. 45% of buyers now use AI for their initial research. 67% say they want a rep-free experience, which is a very polite, business-friendly way of saying, yeah, I don't want to talk to your people. So this is where it gets really interesting. We're seeing a new model start to appear. Maybe it's not as much a new model as much as it is a merged version of our two workarounds. Right? At its surface, it kind of looks like a resurgence of content marketing, the media operation, but it is different. Smart businesses are really turning themselves into media businesses, but they're also merging with the idea of the rented land idea to find niche communities that are still centers of gravity and show up in those niche communities, even if we don't own them. So HubSpot, for example, bought Futurepedia as a platform for AI practitioners. OpenAI bought the TBPN podcast, which for the record is a daily chat show in the venture and tech, well, very specific venture and tech. Let's call them aficionados to be kind there. Vanta is paying $274,000 for a head of storytelling. The Wall Street Journal had a feature on storytelling and counted 469 mentions of storyteller or storytelling on earnings calls, which were up from 147 a decade ago. Now, down at the operational level, smart organizations are naming editors along with their storytellers, planning their paid earned distribution campaigns or content distribution right with their content practitioners creating owned content. And that raises the question, is this content marketing's final form, or is this just the next workaround? I think it might be the emergence of a new merger, right? The more modern approach to marketing that we might call content-led marketing. So what does this content-led marketing, what does it even mean? Well, let's roll with it here just for a second. So 3 years ago, when generative AI first got loose, everybody in our world started to make the same level of predictions. Content was about to get Napsterized, right? Flooded, devalued, drowned in machine output. And the news came every single day. Wow, sky is falling. Brands would stop investing in editorial. We'd all be reduced to prompt engineers. Except that's not what's happening, right? The opposite kind of happened. AI just raised the bar. Again, like every other technology before it, now AI raises the bar on what it means to create and operate with differentiated content strategy. Here's why. When our audiences search for something now, they don't click on 10 blue links. They ask ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or some AI inside their CRM, and an AI hands them an answer. Now, to be the answer, or cited as the answer, that's one thing, right? Your content has to be authoritative enough for the AI to want to cite you as the answer. But to be so interesting as to have somebody say, I want to know more about the brand or the person who is this cited answer, well, that's quite another thing. Or take it to YouTube. To get recommended on YouTube, your content has to be distinctive enough that a creator wants their audience to see it, or it breaks through the sea of thumbnails, paid or otherwise, getting in front of those folks to reach that intended audience. That's one thing. But to get that YouTube video to spur a visit to you, it's quite another. To get pasted into a Slack community by an actual human, your content has to be worth their reputation to be recommended. But to have that content be good enough to warrant further exploration to you, that's another. It's a higher bar than good enough to rank for long tail keywords used to be. So AI didn't kill content. AI made editorial weight the only thing that starts to travel among communities. And here's the way I've started to think about it. So if you think of AI generated content like the McDonald's of content, there's a lot of it. It is cheap. It is available everywhere and nobody throws a dinner party with it. Well, this is why the AI companies, the ones who are supposedly disrupting all of this, they're buying media businesses. They are hiring storytellers. They're hiring editors. They're hiring search experts. OpenAI bought TBPN. HubSpot, which is arguably also an AI company at this point, bought Futurepedia. They are not buying these properties for the audience members. They are buying for editorial position inside of specific rooms, specific communities. They are buying credibility that compounds over time. Here's the thing about that credibility that compounds. You can't manufacture it, right? You can't manufacture it from a cold start in a quarter. You have to either build it slowly over years, or you can buy your way into it, into those communities, and then earn your place of keeping yourself there. The people who can afford to buy are buying. The people who can't are realizing they've got to start building. And the people who don't realize either of those things are still running those blind campaigns. For years, I've described content marketing as becoming a trusted source of interesting things. I always emphasize the word source, as in our newsletter, our blog, our podcast, the source of interesting things. The thing they come to, and that was the right idea at the time, but the word source it's kind of changed shape just slightly in 2026. The trusted source isn't a single property anymore, it's the brand and its people, moving from one community to another and earning and adding value to those communities within it. Plural. The trusted source has gone plural, and your job, if you accept this assignment, is to be the trusted source in many places at the same time. And that means content-led marketing is actually two things stitched together. One, an owned media operation, the newsletter, the podcast, the editorial calendar, the IP that you control, the content that is differentiating you. And two, a distribution strategy into other people's rooms, paid placements, creator partnerships, acquisitions, earned positions in communities, sponsorships, show appearances, the whole campaign era distribution playbook applied to content, not to ads. This is the part where the org chart starts to scream, right? Because most marketing org charts, well, they're designed to plan campaigns, run campaigns, measure campaigns. They were not designed to operate as a media business that works with distribution. So if you want to make this shift, here are kind of 4 top-level moves you can start to look at. The first, audit your language. Listen to the next planning meeting, right? If everybody keeps saying campaign, 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 that's the operating model. We've already been down that road. Try a quarter where what campaigns are we running becomes what audiences are we serving and what are we publishing for them to serve them? And watch how the room might change in 20 minutes. 2, got to name an editor, not a writer, an editor whose entire job is to own the calendar, hold the line on quality, and decide what gets published to whom, the storyteller, if you will. That's a team. That might be you. If nobody has that title, then nobody is doing that work. And no, your VP of marketing is not also doing it. They don't have time. Editing and making sure that we curate the right stories out to the distribution is the role of an editor. 3, and this is the key of that editor, plan distribution alongside content. Start thinking where and start thinking story first and then where that we want to do things. Stop letting demand gen request a gated white paper that leads to a campaign and we're trying to fill it with content. Stop letting PR demand a Wall Street Journal article and reverse engineering the content that will support it. In a content-led model, every piece of content gets a distribution brief at conception. Where is it going to land? How do we earn placement? Where do we pay? How does it travel from one room to the next? And 4, stop measuring content like advertising. Yeah, last click attribution will tell you every single time that content doesn't work, and it's lying to you. It cannot see the asset that contributed to a deal 6 months after publication. It cannot see the trusted position that took 2 years to earn. Build a measurement model that accounts for influence or stop measuring it entirely. Those are the 4 moves, and they're easier said than done, I get it, and I will tell you from experience that every single one of them will involve at least one painful conversation with somebody in your organization who really likes to do the content container first and figure out the content in it later. Oh, by the way, this is the thing I work on with my clients in my consulting practice every single day. Auditing the language, helping to hire for that editor role, building the measurement framework to help leadership make the case to their boards. And if you're staring down this transition and you'd like help thinking it through, well, the link is in the description. The link to the full post is in the description, and I'd love to talk with you. So we come back to the question that we started with. Why is OpenAI buying a daily podcast? Why is Vanta paying $274,000 for a head of storytelling? Why is HubSpot really a media company now? Because the workaround to the workaround is fading. The campaign was a workaround for not having an audience. Content marketing was a workaround for not having an operating model. Content-led marketing might be marketing's final form, or of course, it might be our next workaround that some marketer in 5 years is going to diagnose with the same energy I'm using right now to diagnose this. What I know now is that this is the discipline the moment is really asking for, and meeting the moment as honestly as we can, that's always the job of marketing. So go meet it. Audit your language, name your editor, plan your distribution, stop measuring like an advertiser. The article version with all the data and the citations, as I mentioned, is linked in the post, and it's your story. Tell it really well. I will see you next week where we talk about operations and all kinds of things with this content-led marketing model. See you next week.